Welcome back, y'all, to Ready to Love, episode 3. And we are back on the screen today to discuss this latest episode. And we had the two on the bottom this weekend end up being a Blake again and a Fabrice, which is Fabrice. And Fabrice lost out and he went home. And looks like it was pretty much unanimous that Fabrice should go home because he obviously went home because he was talking about sex too much. Let's talk about sex, baby. He talked about it too much. That's what the lady said. He tried to say it was a cultural difference, because I guess he's from the French area and from France. And he says they're much more liberal in France, and all you Americans are a little bit uptight over this sex thing. Well, here's my question, people. When we start talking about what conversation is talked about too much, they obviously sent him home because he was talking about sex too much and he was coming off like a dirty old man. I don't care if you in France, Spain, America, or whatever. It was coming off like a dirty old man, talking about it over and over again with women that are quite younger than you. It was giving dirty old man vibes. So my question is this: you know who else talks about the same topic all the time? It seems to be a Kravaya. So is this a situation where there's a couple of topics you shouldn't be talking about over and over again on first dates when you're first getting to know someone? I didn't have anything wrong with what Fabrice was saying, that sex is important and all this other kind of stuff. Yeah, got it. But is it what we want to talk about at the top of the queue every single time I'm talking to you? I don't think so. And the same thing could be said about Kravaya. She seems to find a way to weave in the topic of money in every conversation that she has. She brings up her lifestyle. She brings up, what do you do for a living? These are all ways to try to figure out how much money you make. Even this date that she went on with Fabrice, she said she wanted, on her list of things that she wanted a man that had owned a business and sold a business. Of all the things that you put on your wish list, she puts on the wish list, I want the man to have owned a business and sold a business. First of all, what percent of men in America have owned a business? Let's look at that. What percent of men have owned a business? I don't know. What is it, y'all? What you think it is? A 10%? And we don't just talk about Latino men or African American men. What percent of men in America have owned a business? Then let's take that number down again even more and say, what percent of men have sold a business? We're not talking about men who lost a business because it went bankrupt. We're not talking about men who just closed their business. She's talking about a man that probably sold his business and made some extra money off of it. Kavaya out here looking for a 0.005% of the men. She don't need to be on Ready to Love. When you are looking for 0.0005% of the men in America, you don't need to be on Ready to Love. You need to go out, hire you a professional matchmaker so that matchmaker can find you that 0.005% of the men, and so that man can also be into you. I don't know. I think Kravaya is on here, honestly, you guys, for social media attention. She said that's her dream. She said her dream is to influence people. Right now, only thing Kravaya is doing in influencing people not to have her same tactic in dating, because her tactic is not good. Whatever her strategy is for dating, she's influencing a lot of women to say, I ain't gonna do that. Let Kravaya be your teacher, and please don't do what she's doing, because this is a recipe for disaster. But the ladies had all the power this week, so she wasn't up for elimination, and Fabrice was, and he went home. But when they were in the ladies' lounge in the beginning, they was looking good. These ladies, you know what? I'm really enjoying all the ladies. Even Kravaya, I think I actually like all the ladies, but we got to have something to talk about. But I actually like all the ladies, little things about all the ladies. And so I'm enjoying the season, and I like the men. There aren't any men where I'm just like, oh my God. So I'm enjoying to see how this plays out. I can't see what's coming. I can't even see who's going to be eliminated next. I do know that Andre fella, he's getting a lot of play out here. All I know is I would do probably like a sneak attack on Kravaya. I'm not Kravaya, Andre. Girl, ladies, can somebody trick him in the bed or something, and then while he sleep, go get a pair of scissors and cut that off? Is he like Samson? Is he gonna lose Samson in the Bible? Is he gonna lose all his power if you cut off that little thing at night in the middle of the night? We need to recruit someone, a Navy SEAL girl, somebody, I don't know. Are there even female Navy SEALs? I don't know. We need to recruit somebody, trick Andre in the bed, and then when he's sleeping, go get a pair of scissors and cut that off. Because I don't know how we're going to get that off of him. But anyway, all the ladies look nice. And then this week they were going out on these individual dates, which I also enjoyed, y'all. I really like seeing these multiple individual dates. Whoever talked to Ready Love producers this season, let me tell you, y'all are listening. This is what I like. I like when a show listens to their audience. And honestly, we are liking more of the one-on-one. Let me just talk about myself. I am liking more of the one-on-one dates. I'm liking seeing more of the dates because you're getting more of an idea of who these people are. You're able to listen to them. And I really have enjoyed this part of Ready to Love this season. So at first they ended up being Mercedes, Mark Anthony, Sue Ann, and Blake. And they went on this Kangoo. Is it called Kangoo? What's it called? Kango, a dance where you jump up and down. I know them calves were burning. I know they were burning, but it was a good workout. And Mercedes said, I want to get some one on time with Mark Anthony because Mark Anthony is good looking. He is good looking. And he knows it. He knows it. He not being all the way, he's having a little bit of humbleness to him. I would say that. But you know what? I like these two together. I think their vibe is really nice. I think they seem like they're both kind of easygoing people, maybe fun people. And then on the other hand, you got a stuck up Blake talking about, I really don't want to do this. But you know what? He ends up doing it anyway because Mark Anthony is going to go ahead and do it. And he ends up, having a little bit of one-on-one time with Sue Ann. This is what I'm going to say about Blake. Blake reminds me of the female version of what the late Kevin Samuels used to talk about. Kevin Samuels used to talk about women, and this was his thing. He would say, listen, ladies, if you've gone out and you've had 3 babies by 3 different men, and now you're in your 40s, you have to be willing to maybe accept an average guy, or you're not going to get this top-notch guy out here, even if you are making a lot of money. Here's my thing about Blake. Everybody knows that when Blake probably was back in his 20s, he's still a good-looking guy now. He was probably a hot commodity on the market. He got his little dimples. He's got, what people like. He's got a little caramel skin. He got that Gumby hairstyle, which is, I don't know, it's kind of like Kid and Play. He kind of is stuck in the 90s. Isn't that Kid and Play hairstyle? Plus, he's tall. I don't know. I was getting Gumby vibes from him, like Gumby with a Kid and Play hair. I don't know. It seems a little dated for his age. He probably needs to cut that down a little bit because he's already tall. And then this high top fade or whatever he's got going on, that's what it was called back then, a high top fade. It really isn't doing him justice. But anyway, the point I'm making is he probably was a hot commodity. Now, what he did was he went around and he slept with a lot of women. And I'm not going to talk anything bad about the baby mothers because they could be really nice women. But the fact of the matter is he has 3 kids by 3 different women. So he didn't know how to stop. He didn't know how to say, you know what, maybe I shouldn't be doing this because later on in my life, this might cost me. So now here Blake is at 44 years old, coming back on the market with 3 kids by 3 different women, 3 child supports, 3 college educations to pay for. He's got at least another $20,000, 20 years worth of debt. So any woman who gets with him has to know that most likely none of his paycheck is going to go to your household, none of it, because his paycheck is going to be needed for him and those 3 kids. Unless he's making a lot of money, his paycheck is going to go to him, those 3 kids, buying cars for them, paying for college education, and whatever else. It's going to be very little for you. But Blake seems to have some of the highest standards out here. He is the one out here vetting these women, talking about what you want to do with your life. Is there compatibility? He's got a whole list of things that he wants in a woman, and he has no problem telling them that I got standards. Well, now you have standards. You see, this was the same thing Kevin Samuels used to rail on women about. Why suddenly now do you have all these standards? Well, the same thing can be said about Blake. How is Blake the man on this show with all the standards? He's got so many standards. You're like, well, where were your standards all these years when you were running around making all these babies with 3 different women? You wasn't thinking about your potential mate then what she's got to take care of now that she's in a relationship with you. What is Blake offering? His personality ain't even that good. Has he made anybody laugh? Has he made any woman smile? Has he said anything that he is going to do for a woman? No, all he does is come on here and talk about what his standards are. Please, people, can we send him home in the next round? I would have rather kept Fabrice and all that sex talk than this man. At least Fabrice is over here telling you he's going to try to sex you up. At least he's saying there is something I'm going to give you. Whether or not he could deliver on it or not, at least he's promising something. What is Blake promising women? They talk about women, a big butt and a smile. What is he offering besides some dimples? People, can we send him home? Please, can we send him home? Well, Mercedes and Mark Anthony had a good little date, and she was talking about her life was chaotic when she was young. So she's looking for some stability. She wants a man that's going to be her anchor. She says she don't want to live this chaotic life as an adult. She might have lived like that when she was growing up. She says, but now she wants something completely different. And I thought their conversation went well. I thought they vibed together. I thought that they played off the conversation. I thought they both shared things about their life. I really enjoy these two together. I'm looking forward to seeing how they progress later on down the road. And then I said, and then, you have Blake and Sue Ann on a date. Now, let me take it back. I guess he is offering something. He's offering up pet names, names to Sue Ann, saying, I'm going to give you a pet name. So whenever I want to leave, you know how to leave with this pet name. So in the end, the pet name wasn't for you, Sue Ann. The pet name was for you to help him when he wants to get out of a sticky situation. Blake is selfish, y'all. I'm telling you, Blake is selfish, and Sue Ann can't see past it. I don't know. She is just googly-eyed over, I guess, what he looks like, because I really don't know. Is Sue Ann an attorney? Why is she sitting over here digging, going 10 toes down for Blake so soon? And then to come find out that Blake was over here canoodling and telling things to Jeffrey behind Sue Ann's back, and that wasn't even enough to deter Sue Ann. She heard all that Jeffrey told her, what he was saying behind her back, and other things like, that Jeffrey's the only woman that he wants to be. He doesn't want to really be here. And Sue Ann heard all of that, but she still went in to protect Blake. What for, Sue Ann? Why? Girl, you better mix and mingle. You better find you another one of these men on this show to find some interest in, because Blake is not the one. And that's not to say I even believe Jeffrey, to be honest with you. I really don't know if I believe all that about Jeffrey. I told you last episode, something about Jeffrey does not line up. It does not line up at all. This week, Jeffrey was on a date with Demario, and they went horseback riding. See, I'm going to tell you about another part that doesn't line up. So, first of all, Tommy said, we want you guys to go out on dates for things that symbolize who you are now and what you like to do, so that people can get to know a little bit about you. So people chose dance, people chose exercise, because let's say they like to work out. People chose, I think Jonique went to a wine bar because she likes to drink wine. So Jeffrey decides she's going to go to this ranch in Miami. And just like Demario said, who knew there was horses up here in Miami? So they go to this equestrian center, horseback riding center. So I'm thinking, Jeffrey must like horses. She must like to go horseback riding. And then Jeffrey says she ain't been horseback riding since she was 6. I said, well, that ain't your current personality, Jeffrey. You're supposed to go to places now that tells you about your personality now, not your personality when you were 6 years old. I'm telling you, Jeffrey is put on an act. So anyway, they go horseback riding and they bouncing around on this horse. And not only Demario, I guess he ain't never been on a horse, but he was like, I'm doing better than Jeffrey. Jeffrey is on that horse bouncing around and everything is jiggling. I knew she had never been horseback riding when she showed up in them thin stretch pants. First of all, everybody knows you don't go ride no horse in those thin stretch pants like that, because everything that's not tied in is going to be jiggling, and she was jiggling, baby. A jiggling. So I already knew she hadn't been horseback riding, and Demario was like, is she wrestling with that doggone horse? So I guess she was trying to put on an act for Demario. Like I said, Jeffrey, her story needs to come out. It needs to be flushed out. And we actually see in the episode coming up that Jeffrey is over here kissing on another man. I couldn't see who it was. I couldn't see if it was Mark Anthony or somebody else, but she kissing on another man. And Demario's like, I don't like that. And she rats out Blake. I'm gonna tell you, I don't know all that stuff that she started talking about Blake. I don't know. To me, I feel two different ways about it. First of all, I feel like yes, a Blake probably said some of those things, not all of those things. I could see a Blake being kind of controlling like that because, like I said, he's got so many rules, so much criteria. I could see him being the type of person where he likes to tell you what to do. I could see it. I really could see it. That part I could see about what Jeffrey's saying when she's like, dang, I got to check in. I feel like I'm already in a relationship. But she went extra hard on him in the deliberation room. She threw him all the way up under the bus. She let it rip, which also tells me she's not afraid of throwing a person up under the bus. Jeffrey's not afraid of doing what she needs to do to get what she wants for herself or whatever else. I'm starting to figure out Jeffrey. Now, I don't care that she did about Blake because Blake ain't a person I really, really care for. But I really did look at her sideways and say, wow, she really threw him up under the bus in the deliberation room. And she did it probably with not telling him first because when Sue-Ann was at the, had to tell him he was on the bottom, he looked shocked completely. Jeffrey might want to be afraid, be very afraid, because I think Blake is going to be ready for some comeback. He is going to be ready to get back at Jeffrey because he is mad at what she said about him. I'm telling you, he seems like a vengeful, revengeful person. And Jeffrey better be scared because I think Blake is going to come for her now. I really do. And the truth of the matter is they might have been the perfect pair to pair up with each other because they both have kids. They're both probably not interested in having kids. And most of these women on here want to have children. So there really weren't too many other women, I think, that might really want to be with Blake. And Jeffrey probably felt that Jeffrey would have been one of them. But Jeffrey's like, I may have 3 kids, but that don't mean I want you. And that means she probably was over here talking sweet to Blake on the phone, leading him on, him not knowing that she really didn't want to have nothing to do with him. And then when they got to that deliberation room, she threw him all the way under the bus. So I'm already looking at Jeffrey with one eye open or one eye closed because I'm telling you, what she presents, that ain't who Jeffrey is. We're going to get to know a little bit about her as time goes on. We really are. But I already know Jeffrey, she doing some things out here. She is doing some things. Now, this date with Cynthia and Andre, I thought it was a really sweet date. I thought we saw a really nice side to Cynthia. I really empathized with her when she started crying because you know what? This is a lady that's trying to change. And those tears were tears of saying change is hard. And what Cynthia was saying, which a lot of women I think out here feel, I think her story is going to resonate with a lot of women. Cynthia is saying, I've had to be this strong woman out here because I've had to be. Maybe because she's had bad relationships. Maybe because she's had to be a single mother and she's had to be strong for her children. She's had to do a lot of things on her own. Who knows? Maybe she's a caretaker even in her own family with her parents or her siblings. Who knows the burden she's been carrying? But what she's saying, when I see those tears in her eyes and she crying the way she was crying, because those weren't no fake tears. She was really, really crying, y'all. I see a woman who's tired. I see a woman who's saying, I don't want to do this anymore. I want help. I want someone in my life. And what she's saying is, but it's also going to take some work for her to get rid of some old habits. And she says, I want to get rid of these old habits because it's not serving me well. To me, these tears are no different from any other person trying to get rid of a bad habit, whether it's smoking or drinking or any bad habit where you say to yourself, this habit that I've had for all these years is not serving me well in my life now. And in fact, it's keeping me from going where I need to go. But I'm wrapped up in this habit. And although I'm trying to do better, I fall back in my old ways. And so I need a person who's going to be patient with me. I need a person who's going to help me get rid of this bad habit that I cannot necessarily do it on my own. And I don't want you to throw me away just because I'm not all the way there yet. That's what I see in Cynthia. I see a woman who is trying to change, who wants to change, but also wants to be truthful and let you know that, listen, I'm trying to go somewhere, but I'm not all the way there yet. So I want a man who's willing to go on the journey with me to, take me by his side and help me get there because it's really where I want to go. And that's what the tears were for. The tears were for the pain. The tears were for the acknowledgement that it is hard to do. It is hard to change things about yourself. That's why a lot of women and people, they don't want to change. They want to come into new relationships and they want to say, you know what, I don't want to change. I just want you to accept me as I am. Because you know what? Putting all the work on someone else to accept you as you are is easy because you don't have to change. You could put all the work on them to take it, for them to come up with coping mechanisms to deal with you. So they're doing all the work, figuring out how to deal with you. But the hard work is you changing so that everybody doesn't have to deal with you. And it's hard. And let me tell you, that could evoke tears in you. And I saw that in Cynthia. Cynthia actually is really one of my favorite people on the show of this season, because this woman is in a moment of growth and change. She is trying to change. Sure, she's healing old wounds, but at least she is acknowledging the wounds, and she's also acknowledging the work that it takes to heal old wounds. You got a lot of people who got wounds that don't want to acknowledge it. They in denial, and then they don't even want to do the work to heal the old wounds. They want you to do all the work to accept the old wounds. I like Cynthia, and I like the way that Andre listened to her and showed empathy. He even gave her his sleeve when she was crying, because she was a boo-hooing. Maybe Cynthia is the one I'm going to have to put in the room to cut off that. But you know what? If this is Andre's strength, and this is what gives Andre the compassion and empathy that he gave to Cynthia, then you know what? I'll let him keep his little curl. I'll let him keep his little curl. Maybe he and Blake can form a little 90s band. Blake with the Gumby haircut and him with this. And I don't know, Belle Biv the Boys to Men. We'll call it something. But I like their date. And I really like to see that vulnerable side of Cynthia. And then when they were in the deliberation room and she was even about to cry again, when she was telling Tommy about the time I cried, she was about to cry then, because she probably never cries. She probably was like, I'm talking about a time when I was crying and I'm bringing up the situation again, and you cry again on that. I can empathize with that. I'm telling you, Cynthia is trying to kill something inside of her that she doesn't want to carry anymore into this next phase of her life. And she is acknowledging the pain. I think her story is going to help a lot of women. And if she's got to cry a lot on the screen to get rid of all that stuff that's in her, go ahead, girl. Let it out. At least she's not doing the type of crying that the flower girl did last year. The girl last year, she had a lot of trauma and she was crying all the time, but she was running around blaming everybody else. See, that's what I don't like. I don't like people who have trauma and fear, but then they're blaming you for everything. And they're putting you on the defense, saying you're supposed to coddle me. You're supposed to do all this. No, Cynthia was crying, but she wasn't putting any of that on other people. She wasn't blaming anybody. She wasn't telling people the way they was treating her. She was owning her own stuff. And that's what I liked about her. So I'm okay with her crying, because she wasn't trying to make other people feel guilty. She wasn't trying to make other people do just something different. She was like, I'm owning my stuff. I am owning my stuff. Then you have Morgan and Linden. They went out on this date, and I guess Linden said he was reading the signs wrong. He was about to go in and give Marcia, and it wasn't Morgan, Marcia, a kiss. And she's like, This Linden, let me tell you something. He ain't even got his own place. So he says, I better get these kisses out in public, because I can't take you back to my apartment. He was like, I got to do it out in public. Linden, you know what? He seems like a fun guy. But he doesn't seem like he's ready for a one-on-one relationship. He seems like the type of guy where he would be fun. You go out some dates with him. Maybe you roll around in the sheets with him or something. But he's over here trying to kiss Marcia, and he couldn't even return a phone call to Marcia. Marcia was like, I gave you my number, but you didn't call me. And he's like, oh, yeah, I just been so busy. But now all of a sudden he wants a kiss from Marcia. Linden, go sit down. Go lay down in your twin bed in your bedroom that you're sharing with your brother. He's fun. And you know what? I don't know why Linden's going out on this date. He went out on a date with Marcia. He went out on a date with Jonique. Why is Linden such a hot commodity? You know what? I actually like listening to Linden. I think Linden. I think he's fun. I think he's funny. I think he has interesting conversation. But he ain't nothing serious. He ain't the person you take seriously. He's the person where, yeah, maybe you talk on the phone. Like I said, you go out on a date. Maybe you come to his bar, sit at the bar, have a drink with him. He ain't really ready to really care for and take care of no woman. I could tell that Linden can barely take care of himself right now. He can't take on no whole grown woman. For sure not. And then Tony and Morgan had a date. You know what? Tony, another one. He's a hot commodity out here, but I'm not quite sure what there is to Tony either. I've heard a lot of conversations with Tony, and all I've learned about Tony is that he loves God. Is that enough, ladies, for you to love God? What does Tony do for fun? I really want to hear more about Tony because right now, all I hear about Tony that is that he loves God, he loves women, and I really don't know more about him. I want to hear more about what makes Tony tick. What's the inside of Tony? Because right now I'm getting Tony, the representative of Tony, and I really want to see more of Tony. And even Morgan was like, she said, I just want to make sure that all this suaveness that Tony has isn't for everyone. Is he for everyone or is he just for me? Good question, Morgan. Good question. But I like them pairing up right now. And I really do want to see where this goes. I want to learn more about everyone. I mean, pretty much we're all on the surface level with all these people right now. We really haven't gone a whole lot into depth of who these people are. It's early. We only on episode 3. So I'm going to be patient. I'm going to wait. But we are definitely getting everybody's representatives right now. We aren't getting the deepness of these people. Like I said, the only person who we went really deep on this week seems to be Cynthia. We really went deep on Cynthia this week. So I'm waiting to go deep on a lot of these other people to see, oh, who are they really? So we can see if some of these matches are really going to match up. I really want to see that. But in the end, we got to see who's on the top, who's on the bottom, who were the hot commodities up here. And Sue-Ann, of course, was still rocking with Blake, and she said she liked Anthony. We didn't see a lot of Anthony. We didn't see a lot of Blue. What's going on with these guys? Why haven't we seen a lot of them? We didn't see any dates with them or anything. We saw all these dates with Linden, and we didn't see not one date from Blue and not one date from Anthony. But Sue-Ann, Anthony's on top for her. I hope so. I hope Sue-Ann is just using Blake as somebody to get her some votes, but she's really for Anthony. That's what I hope. Because, this is a game. So Sue-Ann says she likes Blake. She likes Anthony. Mercedes said that she, of course, likes Mark Anthony. Morgan likes Tony. Janique says she likes Blue and Linden. Cynthia says she likes Andre. Jeffrey says she likes Demario because Demario was giving a husband energy, but we see her kissing another man later on. Jeffrey out here playing games. But anyway, and the bad people, I should say bad, but the people who were on the bottom, Marcia said she wasn't into Demario. He seems robotic with no personality. Cynthia said she wasn't into Tony. Linden, Corvaya was saying Linden tried to kiss her too, so she definitely wasn't into him. Monique says she ain't into Fabrice. Corvaya thinks Fabrice looks at her as a daddy girl and she's spoiled. Corvaya is unaware of how she comes off. And even if she's unaware, she says, so what if I'm unaware? And she may even be aware, but she says she ain't changing anything about herself. And then we had Jeffrey tell the whole story about how Blake said he's all into her. And then she threw him under the bus and said, but he's on my bottom. And even at the elimination dinner, when Marcia had to tell Fabrice he was going home and he showed up talking about, ooh, he started simulating like he was touching her breast. Marcia was like, boy, what is wrong with you? Why is everybody must really see some sexual energy coming from Marcia because Linden over here trying to kiss her. Fabrice is over here trying to touch her breasts out in public. I tell you, and Fabrice was like, well, if you didn't want me to say nothing about him, you shouldn't have put him out like that. That is a point. That is a point. If you don't want me looking at him, then you shouldn't be showing him like that. But she was like, ugh, you like a dirty old man. But he's out there talking about if you don't want to talk about sex all the time, that means you're immature. It shows a lack of maturity. Well, you would know you're the most mature one on this show. But no, that's not what it says. It just means that we want to talk about other things. But like I said, I don't know. Corvaya, she talks about money a lot. He talks about sex a lot. So they both got one conversation that they like to talk about. So I would probably eliminate any person who only has one thing to talk about. That means you're obsessed with it. He's obsessed with sex and she's obsessed with money. So to me, the next person that needs to go home probably is going to be a Corvaya. Nobody said it doesn't have to be important. I understand money is important in a relationship and I understand sex is important, but that don't mean you got to talk about it all the time, every day. And it's got to be the sole topic of your conversation or something that you bring up in every conversation. I would eliminate somebody over that. I'm like, I don't want to talk about this all the time. Bye. Au revoir. Is that what you say? Is that how you say it in France? Au revoir, Fabrice. And then when Suzanne was able to tell Blake, when he's going to stay on the show, he's saying, but people think you combative and rough. Blake said, well, shoot, I might be even more rough now that I know what Jeffrey said about me. Ooh. You better watch out. Shots fired, people. A shots fired. He said he was bothered and hurt. He's coming for Jeffrey. I guarantee you. In this next episode, Blake is going to come for Jeffrey. But anyway, that's it, y'all. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.